Many on the right are melting down after Vice President-elect J.D. Vance announced that he will not be backing pardons for violent MAGA rioters.
I think it's very simple. Look, if you protested peacefully on January the 6th and you've had Merrick Garland's Department of Justice treat you like a gang member, you should be pardoned. If you committed violence on that day, obviously you shouldn't be pardoned. And there's a little bit of a gray area there, but we're very much committed to seeing the equal administration of law. And there are a lot of people, we think, in the wake of January the 6th who were prosecuted unfairly. We need to rectify that.
You know, it's kind of funny. You could successfully argue that some of the people, Proud Boys, were actually members of a gang, although, of course, you'd never hear that, especially from our law enforcement, which basically, it basically says if you're white, it's a militia, not a gang, but if you're black, of course it's a gang. So, okay, sure, right? But here's the thing. You have peaceful protesters. You did have some of those peaceful protesters on January 6th. Not kidding. Then you had the people that did the misdemeanor trespass that went into the building, okay? And then, of course, you had the violent insurrectionists that beat police officers, did vandalism, things like that. Now, J.D. Vance is saying, well, you know, look, if you did a criminal misdemeanor trespass, okay, then, yeah, you should be pardoned. But he drew the line at the violent ones. Oh, okay, wow. Now, that would include the several hundred who were accused of using deadly or dangerous weapons like fire extinguishers, bear spray, flagpoles against police officers, okay? And so far, more than 120 people were charged with using a deadly or dangerous weapon or causing serious bodily injury to an officer. 11 were charged with assaulting a member of the media or destroying their equipment. So, yeah, that's assault, that's vandalism, all that stuff. So, okay, mainly the violent ones who did those things, they received substantial prison sentences, okay? This is not a case where you had the police corral a bunch of peaceful protesters, round them up, throw them into prison, all right, and overcharge them. What you're thinking of in that case would be Black Lives Matter, okay, where a lot of that did actually happen. Okay, where you had reporters, for example, that were corralled up alongside, you know, peaceful protesters, people who didn't actually get involved in the riots, which was an incredibly small part of Black Lives Matter. There were millions and millions of people that protested peacefully, and then a few, some of them, you know, might have been right-wing infiltrators, caused some trouble. But overall, 97% of all the Black Lives Matter protests were peaceful. So there's that. All right. That's the reality. Now, that said, getting back to J6, prosecutors said that they opted not to charge individuals who were merely protesting outside the Capitol that day. Nonviolent protesters. They instead focused on those who entered the building, which is criminal trespass. Now, I'm not saying everybody who entered the building did violence, right? Of course not. But there was some who did vandalism. There was theft, stealing the podium and Nancy Pelosi's laptop, you know. And of course, there are others that walked around filming and others that just walked around and, I don't know, talked to people and, you know, raided the muffins while swearing that they were protecting the muffins. So the idea that there's a bunch of innocent J6ers sitting around in prison is not true. In fact, the punishments more often than fit the crime here. Okay, Alexis Lowe, before a former federal prosecutor who helped lead the Capitol attack investigation until last October, said she stood by the cases, okay, that have been adjudicated, and over 1,100 of them have been already, and noted that they were based on a uniquely large amount of evidence. What evidence, you say? Evidence that was taken from the J6ers themselves in the form of videos that they live streamed. While she declined to discuss any individual case or internal Justice Department deliberations, Loeb said, these were prosecutions that were staffed by career employees, and the cases had a remarkable amount of evidence given all the video that was taken that day. Yes, live streaming yourselves doing crime, or to be fair, live streaming yourself or other people doing crime. Yeah, that would be evidence, right? That said, all that, right, to give you context, showing that what should be a win for MAGA, letting people go who did misdemeanors, okay, but not letting people go for the violence, obviously, still a win for them, okay, for some of these J6ers. Apparently, it's not enough for some of them. No, of course not. You're not going to be surprised it's the ones who did violent stuff. An ex-account purporting to represent Jake Lang, who's incarcerated in D.C., while awaiting trial on charges that he beat police officers at the Capitol, so I have to say alleged, right? He allegedly posted a lengthy message addressed to J.D. Vance, writing in part, the J6 hostages' families have been crushed by the mixed messaging coming from the White House on the J6 pardon process recently. We are utterly confused. We have been waiting 4 years for this moment, and now it seems like your administration is going to possibly leave some of our brothers behind to rot away in the gulag for the next 10 to 20 years. In the gulag, everybody. He also falsely claimed that all insurrectionists were set up and trapped by the FBI, even though that there's absolutely no evidence in that, and falsely claimed that all of them were protesting peacefully. Wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense, because if you were entrapped, you would have to be doing the violence in order for them to actually arrest you. And again, got you on video, right? A lot of people had this, they were on video doing the crimes, doing the beatings, all that stuff, doing the vandalism. And so you're going to say that you were set up, though, but you still did it, though. Even if that were true, you still did it. So, but it's not true. It's not true. That's the thing. And so, but again, since you did do it, you weren't exactly protesting peacefully, were you? But he said, Mr. Vice President, there's only one solution. Bring all our J6 POWs home. No man left behind. Day one full pardons and clearing of the prisons. POWs, everybody. You're only a POW if there's a war. What war was there? If you were peacefully protesting, then you weren't exactly involved in a war, were you? So you couldn't really be a POW. Yeah. They don't make any sense. Again, no evidence that there's Fedception, all right? No, here's the thing about the feds. They were too complacent, okay, when it came to the threat of right-wing violence. They didn't believe all the warnings that showed the far right was planning January 6th. So, I mean, that's kind of a big blind spot for law enforcement is right-wing violence. They love to ignore that and focus on what left-wing violence is there? Not a lot. So they have to make it up. Okay, but there's more. In another post on X/Twitter, someone identifying themselves as a January 6th survivor, if you were all peaceful, why are you a survivor? Philip Anderson, the same name as someone facing felony and misdemeanor charges for his actions that day, alleged Vance's comments were hypocritical, writing, telling your own supporters that the election was stolen and then not giving them a pardon or commutation after you sent them into what you call a fedsurrection and trap is a betrayal. All the J6 defendants must be saved. J.D. Vance is wrong, and I hope Trump will save his own supporters. Man, bro is so close to figuring it out. He's so close, but so far away. He's like, telling your own supporters the election was stolen, not pardoning them. Oh, man, what a betrayal. No, the original betrayal is the fact that he lied about the election being stolen. The election was not stolen. And so he lied, and then, boom, you guys went out there and did a bunch of crime. I mean, you're so close. So close. And the point of, Trump, and some of the Jack Smith charges that, unfortunately, we're not going to see that go to trial because Donald Trump's going to be president now. Well, we're not going to see that adjudicated. But, I mean, he did lie to everybody. And that was the point. That said, Vance after getting some backlash, of course, took to Twitter to grovel for forgiveness. He said, "I've been defending these guys for years." He then claimed that there were feds in the crowd. Again, no evidence of that. Writing, "Did they get a pardon? I don't think so." But he also wants you to know that this is not a walk back. Oh, no, of course not. Quote, "The president saying he'll look at each case and me saying the same is not some walk back. I assure you, we care about people unjustly locked up. Yes, that includes people provoked. And it includes people who got a garbage trial." I wish they actually really did care about people being unjustly locked up, because then they would look at, all the people that are still in prison for drug crimes. And that's just one example, right? Okay, but here's the thing. I don't believe that they actually care about people being unjustly locked up. And they also don't really care about being the party of law and order. They say that they are, but they're really not. I mean, did you know that some of the J6 convicts who have been sentenced have prior criminal records? Which includes about 41 people who have been convicted of at least one violent crime prior to their actions on January 6th. So, now, a CBS News analysis also found that at least 10 people convicted for their roles on January 6th also carry past convictions for domestic violence offenses prior to January 6th. Wow. And at least 4 have faced sex crime allegations. Yes. But yeah, we're going after the groomers, everybody. Sure you are. Law and order. Oh, sure. Again, you've got Donald Trump talking about wanting to allow these violent criminals with criminal histories to be released back onto the streets. And yet, they're completely blind and oblivious to their own hypocrisy. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon in order to get notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to support independent, progressive media through this difficult time where it seems like everybody is shutting down, you can become a member on our YouTube page, you can become a subscriber on Facebook, or you can go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Thank you.